You know, I'm nervous since the Howard Files podcast. I'm nervous to kick off the podcast because I called the
Johnson Files, the Howard Files?
The Howard Files. Yeah.
That is a serious faux pax.
It was like I called them Nicole and Sean and Nicole Howard.
Right after you said Johnson Files.
I was like, from the Johnson Files.
It was like, here are the Johnson Files, Nicole and Sean Howard.
And Sean goes, yeah, we're the Howards from the Johnson Files. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Every time.
Oh. So is it Brigitte? Is that
Brigitte,
how you say your name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we have the folks from, so Jason and Brigitte. What is the last name?
Shamy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, see, the spellings are a little different. I just don't want to mess up. I'm nervous. From Mata Shopping, right? Instagram account, Mata Shopping. They don't have any XXL clothes, but I've decided that they can still come on. So
we're working on that. Stay tuned.
I'd still like to see you squeeze into one. I think.
Hey, I'll do it.
I think
I have no shame.
This will be one time maybe this podcast goes to video.
Yeah. There you go. We do have video technically.
You want some downloads?
We got the iPhone over there.
Yeah. Oh, this is all right.
But yeah, I mean, you've got some photography in your background, from what I understand.
I've been Insta-stalked. I know I've been Insta-stalked in the last 20 minutes. You fire away. I'm ready to go.
Hey, there's one story that I cannot wait to talk about, but we'll save it. We'll let Andrew jump into some of the prepared stuff that we have because he's the studious one.
Yeah.
But no, so we have the husband and wife team of Modest Shopping. Do you call it Sexy Modest Shopping? I'm just going off the Instagram because we want to plug,
okay,
right?
Okay, I haven't been stalked that well. All right, we're sexymodest.com. That's what
sexymodest.com.
And on Insta, our Insta handle is @modestshopping because Instagram thought we're not going to allow the word sexy. This is not going to be.
Wait. Is that real?
This is for real. We used to be Sexy Modest on Instagram, and all of a sudden, no one could find us. They're like, wow, we can't find you.
This was years ago, though, when we started it, because now, you can find anything on there. But people would search it, and it wouldn't populate. It wouldn't come up.
They really blocked sexy on Instagram as a name?
I had sexy meat when I first started the restaurant, but I thought it was because of the meat reference that I'm just kidding.
He had sexy meat, but you know what? That all just goes downhill after a little while.
It does.
It just becomes
when
meat.
you have your own soda machines at your work.
Oh yeah, forget it. That's just kryptonite.
Downhill. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting episode. Awesome entrepreneurs, local, fun people. Right? You're fun. I think you're fun.
Yeah, we're pretty fun. I think we're pretty fun.
Brigitte, do you think you're fun?
Super fun.
Okay, good. It was just you were kind of looking at me like.
I'm just in his shadow, so nobody ever knows how funny I am. No.
Listen.
That can't be true. We work on it all the time. All the time.
We like having couples in here. We've had it a couple of times, right? We had it with Susie and Todd Bullock.
Yep.
Did we have anybody else with a husband here?
No, but we're going to bring a lot back because they kept saying, like, you need to have my spouse in.
Right. We need to have some husband round
So when you asked, like, can he come? I was like, yes, please.
We've had some very successful women in here that have just been powerhouses, right? And so with Todd Bullock in here, I don't know if you know who Hey Grill Hey is, Susie Bullock. So she's a good buddy of mine, and her husband's like her biggest fan. It's the coolest thing. But there's a lot behind, full-time powerhouse women. It's like we want to talk to these husbands because there's some fun stories there. And so, same with Rena.
Yeah.
I mean, they both work full-time, but there were some great stories there with their husband in the background. So, yeah, we're going to have a husband's roundtable. So thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We have lots to ask you about.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be here.
This is your first podcast from what I understand?
It's my first podcast, so be gentle.
Is it yours too, Brigitte?
Yes, it is.
Really?
Yep.
I just have a hard time thinking. 110,000 followers on Instagram, and nobody's asked you to be on their podcast, especially with as funny and fun as some of your guys' stuff is. Like awesome clothes. You guys are in Costco.
We're in Costco,
right? Like
yeah.
my wife was stoked to hear that we were talking to you guys today. I'm not very modest, so I hadn't really heard of you much before last week. Andrew?
Are you waiting for a laugh?
Yeah. I know you were going to giggle at that. Brent was laughing. But, yeah, my wife was really excited about it, and I started looking into it, and you guys have done some amazing things.
It's been fun. It's been quite the journey.
That's really cool. Journey.
How did it all start? After Instagram said no, and you couldn't have your name, then what happened? Like where did it all come from?
We've actually had a lot of no's. So I moved here, and there in my opinion, I was like, there's nothing to wear.
Where'd you move here from?
Iowa, Midwest.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
When did you
You
come
don't
here?
hear that answer very often. Where are you from? Iowa. Usually here in Utah, you're like, I moved here from Idaho or California,
California,
or
yeah.
Arizona. But Iowa. What
Yep,
part of Iowa?
Midwest. So central, about an hour east of Des Moines.
Wow. So cold there.
What brought you to Utah?
This guy.
This
Talked me
Her
into
man.
This
it.
guy.
Her
See,
man.
now you know his sales skills.
See, brother can close. Brother can
I
close.
thought it was
That's
your
right.
looks, but I mean, whatever.
Well, then you need to get glasses, or we need to clean those contact lenses because that is not what happened.
So how old were you at this time then?
21.
How did you guys meet?
We met in Iowa.
What were you doing in Iowa?
We're going to get into this.
Yeah, looking for her. See,
This is a whole nother podcast.
and there's no way he researched this. This is definitely. I was doing a sales seminar. I was speaking out there, and she came and sat in the front row and was like, "This guy's so full of it." And
What was the sales seminar for?
it was for modeling packages, models, photography, classes, getting your pictures done, headshots, resume, putting that all together.
So we just learned a whole lot about Jason and how brilliant he is. What job can I create to surround myself with models?
And it didn't take very long. Nope, no problem. No, she came in and was like, I don't know about this. Ended up liking the package, came back, made good friends with the crew, and stayed all day. Like, you come back the next day if you like what's going on. She brought 2 suitcases full of clothing. I told her to bring 4 outfits. She's like, how about my entire closet? And I'm like, oh, this girl.
Little Miss shoots a lot.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. And
See?
so she starts shooting with the photographer. They do a bunch of pictures. Well, at the end of the day, I'm supposed to look through the pictures with you, decide which ones are the best. We're supposed to pick 4 and call it. Well, she's there 4 hours later than she's supposed to be. I'm like, you know what? Forget this. You guys can finish up. You can look at her pictures. I'm out of here. She's like,
No, he was hangry. He was
So-
like
so-
grumpy and
I'm done at 5 o'clock. It's
Right.
like it's like 7 or 8, and I'm like, I'm done. She goes, what's your problem?
You're just like, it's so flat here.
And I go, I'm just hungry. And then she said,
well, can I buy you a pizza?
she freaking buys me dinner. And I'm like, yes, and I'm a jerk.
You
We end up
just fell in
staying
love.
up all night. We talked about all the things. And this is where the magic happens. I'm supposed to get on a plane at 6 a.m. We're like, we've been talking all freaking night.
And I have college class the next morning because I'm in college.
Yeah, she has college to pretend to go to. 3 other
Right.
jobs that she's like, she's got 3 jobs she's doing. I mean, she's working at a newspaper. This is fantastic. She's at a newspaper courier. This is how I even met her. She got the newspaper courier across the street. One of her friends heard the ad on the radio and said, you should go over and look at that modeling thing.
My boss said on your break you should go across the street and go listen to that seminar.
Dun,
Were you
dun.
He
trying
was
to be a
flirting
model?
with you right there, wasn't he?
I just
So you
had
should go to
done
the
stuff
modeling
like
thing.
that before.
Okay.
And so they were like, she's the one that heard it. I didn't even know anything about it. And she's like, on your break, you should go across the street and just check it out. So
But let
I'm
me
like,
tell you how
okay.
long ago this was. She works at a newspaper courier. She would take phone calls. And what were these phone calls about?
Most people upset about where their newspaper got thrown. So
This is a
Circulation
job. These are
department.
the things. This is what, I mean, she is out making old people's lives better all the time.
it's true.
In Iowa.
So
It's
all
like-
day
In
people
Iowa.
are just calling mad because their paper wasn't exactly where they wanted it to show up.
You hit my dog. Oh, it
he's
hit
right.
my
Like I
dog.
had
Oh,
3
it's happening.
jobs, and so that one started at like 4:30 in the morning, so I could go get a bunch of hours in before class, and so people would call in first thing in the morning, like the newspaper wasn't on the back porch by the frog. Like, that's where I like
It's like,
them to drop
it's 10
it.
below, ma'am. The
Yeah.
16-year-old had to get to school.
Oh, totally. You know what? You can come down here, and I'm just going to hit you on the face with this newspaper if you ever call me about it not being on the frog in the back deck. Again.
So that's when I met him. I walked across the street on my break, and he was speaking.
And
I feel like a lot of successful entrepreneurs that we've met have been involved with the newspaper somehow, whether it's delivery, folding,
See, that's where it started.
right?
the
Way back
newspaper.
when.
Yeah,
that
customer
was-
service.
That was a fateful day that her boss said, you should go over there. Yeah, she walked
So-
across the street, and that was that.
Jason, you were based in Utah?
Based out of Utah, yep.
And
Are
so
you-
what made you think of putting ads in the paper in Iowa.
This wasn't my company. I was working for a different company,
okay.
and so I'm on the circuit. I'm doing all the B cities.
Right.
I get called to the Midwest.
All the B city.
Yeah, that's right. That's how good I was. Like right smack in the middle of mediocre. That's how good it was. So they're like, "Oh, we should put you in the B cities. How would you like to go to Broken Branch, Iowa?" Yeah, that sounds good. So
Wait, is that really the city?
No.
Broken Branch? I was like, wait, is that
No.
really what it's called? I was like, is that really a B city?
no, that is probably an F city.
Right.
As in F city. So what
We
happened?
have different feelings about Iowa because I'm like, there's no better place. I
Right.
love it.
That's not true.
Midwest
I've got
is
some very,
best.
very
No,
good
no.
friends from Iowa.
We feel the exact same about Iowa in every season but winter.
Right. Oh, it's rough.
No,
And if he only has to stay a couple days. 3 days too long.
No, we feel the
Too
same
long.
about that. No, Iowa's a beautiful place in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall, but it will freeze your personality in the middle of the winter. Forget your bones, forget
Iowa
your
is
heart.
freezing.
It
There
is
is no
cold.
colder place.
But
Yeah.
the people there, have either of you been to the Midwest?
I have.
I've
quite
driven
a bit.
through the Midwest.
It is like just breath of fresh air for me.
I-
I think the people are fantastic, and there's just nowhere like it.
Oh, no, it's
I've never met somebody from Iowa that I didn't like. Even that dude that was on The Bachelor. Chris, what's his name?
okay. Let's not out ourselves being like,
No,
"Hey,
no.
I'm a big man with
I'm a-
WD-40," but I love the Bachelor.
No, I love
Don't
The
do
Bachelor.
that to
I'm
me.
talking
You're
about
killing me right
I was
now.
just at the Bachelorette finale a few weeks ago, bro. Okay?
He was front row at the finale.
Front row, girl.
squealing.
That's
squealing
real.
like. And
I
did-
love it.
did he
Oh,
bring
were
a
you
roast?
with Kim?
I'll get
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Okay, that's
So
what
we
it is.
met through Chris Harrison. That's how
Oh,
me
you
and
did?
Kim know each
Okay.
other. Yeah.
Okay.
We each have one famous friend, and it ended up being the same famous friend. So yeah, it was a good introduction.
Well, at the end of the day, I'll just finish so that you know. At the end of that morning, this is what changed everything. At the end of that, we've talked all night long.
I like that you call it the end of the morning because
That's right. At the
Yeah.
end of this, not even first date, like we're talking, we should be done talking hours ago. Which just keeps going. At the end of this night, what happens?
He kissed me.
What a slut I am. No, that's right.
get a little
That's right.
pizza,
No,
get a
See,
little
this is
pizza,
where you're
Jason.
like,
No,
we're
I
gonna
have-
have to edit
this
some of
is-
this
No,
out.
this is
See,
not.
this
That does
is-
not have to be edited.
This is the
This is
raw.
what makes our podcast special: is men calling themselves sluts. Go ahead.
And you know what? I just ask her. I mean, I guess while we're here, how was that for you?
Best kiss of my life.
I
Full
don't believe
clothes.
her. She kind of
Hold
said
on.
that laughing.
No. It's true.
Ask her again.
Here's how I
It's
know.
true.
How many times have you tried to recreate that kiss?
Oh, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I saw the story.
We talk about that all the time because we're like, let's try to. You think we can do that kiss again? And we're always like, no, wasn't as good.
And
There's just
how you-
something about it.
How you think that makes me feel?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't have new moves. I mean, I've been working out. I'm stretching. I'm nothing. This is nothing. From that day to this, that was the kiss. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, you guys, you just remember better than it was. That's not true. When we kissed that day, it was over.
That's pretty cool.
So what happened? You kissed. Did you fly back to Utah?
Flew back to Utah. Oh, and then what happened?
And then I went back to school. And when we talked that night, we talked about business, starting companies, working, college. And I was just like, college isn't for me. I want to do this, this, and this. And I left college. I packed up my car and I drove to Utah.
How fast after the first
Wow.
kiss did this happen?
We kiss on May 12th. She won't remember that because she never remembers dates.
I'm
we-
really bad with
We
dates.
kissed on May 12th, and we talked over the phone. We met in a couple of different cities that I was working in as through the summer, and then she comes out to meet the family at the end of August.
Because I started kind of working for the company, like on the weekends.
The one I was working for.
Yeah,
Because
they
she hit
would
it off
say-
so well with the crew, and then I was enamored. So it was very simple
I
to
got
be like,
to go on the B cities, you know, the crappy
Moved
middle of
right up into the
nowhere,
B
crappy
cities.
Iowa,
oh, and that was just
Midwest. So I'd meet him there on the weekends and I'd work the weekends. So we'd see each other here and there.
So that's the end of August. She
Wow.
comes out. Then what happens?
He said, let's date through the seasons. That's what he said.
Yeah, because she calls me and she goes, you know what? My roommate's moving to Florida.
Let's date through the seasons.
Through the seasons.
Is
Yeah.
that like trying to say date for a full year? Is that what that meant? Like through the seasons?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. You just
Everyone
jumping
knows
in.
that, Andrew.
Idiots get married fast like that. Are you kidding me? You need to listen very carefully to the next couple of
4
minutes
weeks
of what
is
we're
how long I
doing.
dated Jenna.
So I moved here in
That's
October,
wild.
engaged in November, and married in December.
Bam! It ain't 4 weeks. You're right. You are more of a slut than I am. But what I'm saying is, I think you might be the first that we knew that's beat us in that regard. But I guess maybe not for Utah. Oh,
Ooh, yeah,
I said
that
it.
is true.
I said it.
That is very, very true.
So,
So when you guys walked in today, and I was kind of giggling, and I was like all excited to meet you, it's because that's what I was watching. I was watching your tagged Insta story, how we met, when you guys were driving in the car. Brent was over here resting on my shoulder. We were giggling together. And I don't know why I picked that one. I'm like, okay, we got to pick one of these like tag stories or play stories, whatever. So if you go to Mada's shop on Instagram, 5 over, how we met, you got to watch it. It's hilarious. They're driving in a car together talking about, they're telling this exact story. And every time that makes Jason look cool, he goes, "Tell him, honey."
That's right. I'm no dummy. I know where to punctuate this thing.
Dummy.
I know where to punctuate it.
Oh,
Well, I always
man.
get nervous when people ask that. And when they ask him, because I'm always like, oh, what story is he going to tell? Like the real story or his version?
Which
They're not
are
the
one
same.
and the same.
They are not the same.
I was gonna say I wouldn't really change it. It's just a good version.
So did
the
we
real
hear
one.
his version or the real one?
That was
Yeah.
pretty real.
All
I
right.
mean, there was a few things, but
A few
So
things.
so
that
what
were,
was
They
it
were
about
like
him that I mean before the kiss that kept you intrigued?
you have my undivided attention. Go ahead.
well, I think for me, he was doing something that I wanted to do. Like I
Right.
loved that he was like, I'm out. I'm super like he's very good at business and sales, and that was always very appealing to me. And here I was like in school and going to school to go get a job, and I knew that's not what I wanted to do. So
Right.
I loved that about him. I mean, tons of things, really.
So he's on stage. It's
Like
kind of
what
like
else?
a rock star thing if you think about it. He's on stage, right? He's owning the seminar. He closes the deal, gets her to sign up and come the next day. Right? And now he's a photographer. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this guy?
Well, and I
not
think
do?
like for me, the speaking, like that's something that I'm not great at.
Right.
It's scary to me, and he is great at that. You know, so I feel like,
Confidence.
yeah,
It's a-
totally.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And extremely good looking.
Yes, that. Oh,
Right.
did I forget that?
I think you meant to say it, but I think the mic was turned around. So
Yeah.
Okay, we got it.
Extremely good looking.
Well, she was fanning herself when she was saying confidence.
Shoot, we might have to go to commercial break here.
so,
we
yeah.
got a kiss to try to recreate.
So
That's really funny.
Brigitte, growing up, did you grow up in like an entrepreneur house, like knowing that wasn't like the traditional route of college, job, work there forever? Like what in you, like where did that come from as far as like you knew that wasn't for you?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. My dad does own his own company. He's an electrician. And I don't know that it came from that, because I feel like I saw him just work his guts out day and night, because his business is very different than the business that I wanted. Like he has to go work it every single day. Like
Yeah.
there's no making money unless you are there.
You're trading time for money
Totally.
and something like
Yeah.
that.
And so, yes, my dad owned his own company, but for me, it was a different kind of business than I knew I wanted to run.
Well, this goes back to that. The reason I think we hit it off that first night, we talked about all the things, and this was something that came up about, oh, you're going to college and you work 3 jobs, and why are you doing that? Well, I'm going to college to get a good education so I can go out and get a high-paying job. Well, that's not how money really works at all. Doesn't work like that in any way, shape, or form. So did she come from an entrepreneurial background? I think a little bit, but her dad's more in the self-employed category, right? Where
Which
he
is
got-
very different.
totally.
Yeah.
It's not a
Very
business.
Yeah.
You know,
Like a small business owner and entrepreneur are very different people, even though they kind of get mashed together sometimes.
And I think where, before I pulled out the big guns, I think what happened was I just said to her, I said, listen, this isn't the way this isn't the way money works, and college teaches you the exact opposite of if you want to have financial freedom. You have to get inside of a system where it makes money whether you live or die. And I think
So how did you know that? Like, what was your background? Like where did this belief system come from in you?
Oh, okay. So Hey, this is Mr. Mata Shop at Mr. Mata Shopping. Just this is a shameless plug. Do not follow this guy at Mr. Mata Shopping on Insta. Call me, DM. We'll talk about it. What happened was I went on a mission, went on an LDS mission to Mexico City. I came home. I spent my $1,300 and got into the community college and was like, hey, I got to go do this. Met a kid there who, this is the cell phone boom, right? This is early 2000s, who's crushing life. He's got all the, what looks like the trappings of success. And he goes, this is a joke. Like, you're not going to learn how money works this way. So I'm in for 3 weeks. I drop out of college and I find a network marketing company that is like, sucks me right in. Full pyramid deal. Let's go in. They start teaching these principles. Well, I drop out of college. 30 days later, I make 10 grand. My parents are like, what in the heck is going on? And at the time, I'm waiting tables, right? I'm waiting tables, and I quit that job too because I realized I wasn't very good at it. Like, I'm not very good at going to the job. So what happened was I walked in, and they're like, it's 10 o'clock. Your shift starts at 8. I'm like, you're lucky I'm here at all. Like 10 o'clock. Like, brother God, I'm here. I just realized I was not a good.
Like, you're welcome.
I was not a good fit for that. And so we learned all the things about other people's efforts, other people's time, other people's money, all the principles that should be taught in college. And I'll be the first one to tell you, college is a joke to me unless you are specializing. I don't want a doctor who knows how money works that does never gone to college. If I lose my arm, like I need somebody who's been going to school for 15 years. I'm in. Or you want to be a doctor? Great. But if you're going to be a doctor because you want to be financially wealthy, independent, whatever, that's not the answer, right? So that was some of how our mindsets aligned that night we met. And I think we knew we were destined to go out and beat our heads against the wall until we figured out there's a need out there. There are people that need what we have, and it'll be our pleasure to serve them. And that's what we've done.
So you guys meet, basically get married the next day.
Yep. Yep.
You got it.
And
Not as fast as you, but yeah, the next day, not that
Exactly.
night.
so you guys waited. You had a little bit of, I mean, you could stop a little
Yeah,
bit.
I
It wasn't like
apologize.
that
Luckily,
night.
there was half the
we-
country between them, right? That had to
Yeah,
slow
that made it
down a
harder.
tad.
So you guys get married. Do you still both work at the modeling agency or whatever it was that you were doing? Do you kind of just keep down that path for a while? Or did you at that point were you guys like, hey, we knew we wanted to do a business, let's start trying?
Well, oh, no, I think we did it for a little to not change the course of what we were doing. But it ended because why?
Because you were on the road.
Yeah. And
He was on the road, never home.
And I'm like, I've got the prettiest wife in the world that I'm now not married to because I'm married to the road.
Yeah.
So we've had to make this decision a number of times throughout the course of our career and marriage together. So I quit that job and immediately start a small seminar company where we go around and we speak to high school leadership. We do that for a little bit, and then the bottom falls out of the economy in 07, 08. In the meantime, Bridge is designing. Bridge has been going to church, and people see her at church, and they're like, oh, my gosh, you're all so put together. You always look so cute. Will you dress me? Well, she's like, oh, my gosh. So she starts designing. We end up having people, we say, okay, on Fridays, you can come to the house, and we'll dress you. And we show.
How did you think of that? I mean, because that wasn't a thing back then.
So, and when you say designing, you mean clothes? Is
Yeah,
that- okay.
yeah.
Start designing clothes.
Clothing. And we'd done like in between there some other things, like we had bought and sold some houses. Like we'd moved 3 times at this point. You know,
Okay.
we'd flip them, fix them up. So I was kind of doing that while he was on the road. And I did minor in fashion. I've always loved it, always been interested in it. I never finished school because I dropped out and drove out to Utah with everything I owned in the back of my car.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Yeah.
'Cause this is the perfect spot. Since you talked about dropping out, I've just wanted, Iowa, it's pretty, old-fashioned values. What did your parents think when you met the modeling photographer? Made
yeah,
out
you-
with him,
oh, you gonna
made
like
out with
this.
him at
I'm
6 in the
like,
morning,
oh,
and then
boy.
said, so Mom, Dad, I'm moving to Utah.
I'm married.
dropping
I'm
out
moving
of-
to Utah. And I'm not
I'm
going to
dropping
school
out of
anymore.
college. College is dumb. How did that go for you?
Well, I think you know the answer to that. No, I was always pretty spontaneous. And I think at that point they're like, oh my gosh, what's she doing now? But I I was very independent. I had been for a while, and so for sure some disappointment. But I also think that they were like, it's your life. You got to do what you want to do, you know?
Where are you in your family with siblings?
I am the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
See, that's why. That's why they didn't stop her. Just
Yeah,
whatever
because
you
they're
want,
like,
sweetheart.
okay,
No, that
yep,
is,
whatever.
That is not why. One thing you're going to learn about this woman, you can't stop her.
Right. Well, and the
You can
reason
try.
that I wanted to come back and ask this question is because I think that does define a lot about your character, right? Because you're in college. We still kind of depend. Well, I never went to college, so I don't know this, but a lot of people in college still kind of depend on their parents. You are going to school where you're from, so you're still kind of close by, right?
Yeah.
And to just say, I'm going, that's a gutsy move.
Yeah,
Right?
it was. And I look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, if my kids ever,
Right.
like, what was I thinking, you know? But
But it was one
and
of the
I
best
think
decisions
now,
you ever made.
totally. And I think now, you know, for sure, my dad's like, oh my gosh, it worked out. I can't believe it. Like,
Are your
holy
parents
cow.
still in Iowa?
Yeah. Yep. My whole family's all still in Iowa.
Wow.
Everyone's there. And it was looking back now, but it's like those leaps of faith or things that you do that you can't explain them at the time, where you're just like, okay, that was the reason that happened. But there's a lot, I mean, even from then, just so many trials that I feel like is what makes now where we're at in our life so fun, because, you know, my dad wasn't happy. He was really mad. And I had recently, long story short, I hit a deer with my car before I wanted to move out. And he's like, you can't go out there until your car is paid off. Well, I was already working 3 jobs and trying to pay for college. And I was so broke, you guys. Like, microwave mac and cheese every night. It just, I can't even tell you how bad it was. But I did. I took some jobs on the side. And
Dancing jobs?
see, this is where our stories,
This is where I tell. See, this is where the story gets like I say it like it is, and she's like, "Oh, you're embellishing."
I did some promotional modeling jobs, and on the weekends, and for like 2 days or the weekend, I could make like $800. And I'm like, okay, how many times do I have to do this? How many of these jobs to get my car paid off? And so I did. Within a few months, I had my car.
Oh, this woman, bam, done.
I had my
done,
car
done.
paid off.
Yep.
And so I'm like,
Your
hey,
dad's like,
my car is
"Damn
fixed.
it,
It's
that
paid off.
backfired."
I'm going, you know? So just hoops that I had to jump through like that. Drove out here. And the weekend I drove out here. So I drove straight through.
It's 1,100
was-
miles. It's
Right.
21 hours to
Yeah.
drive through it, and you make this drive
And it's
exactly.
it's from Wyoming, Nebraska. It's the
Oh.
ugliest drive on earth.
Oh,
You
it's
guys.
the worst. It's the worst.
And I was just too young and too stupid. So I was scared. I didn't want to stop. I'm like, I don't want to stay in a hotel by myself. I'll just drive straight through. And I was like holding my eyelids open, like rolling the windows down, drove straight through. I
This
get
is
here.
pre-Adderall, by the way. everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all the
Pre-perk,
energy drinks
pre-Adderall.
and-
Pre-perk energy, not
Right.
sponsored, but use code MODEST for 10% off. We got you covered. Modest at checkout. Perk energy. All right, we're back.
You're welcome, Rena. All right.
Gosh, no
I
kidding.
love her.
She's the best.
Yeah, so straight through, came out here, and the weekend I get out here, he's not even here. He's out of town for work. So that was
And it's
like,
general conference for the Church of Cheese and Rice and Rattly Snakes. So she
is.
ends up coming into conference, knows nothing about the church, and is like,
nothing.
let's all sit around the TV. I leave her with my family to watch conference for the first time, knowing nothing.
So we never crossed that bridge. So you were an LDS.
I was an LDS,
Oh,
no.
okay, wow.
Yep. And I'm actually still the only member of my family.
Wow. You know,
So-
it's funny to hear you tell the story of leaving Iowa, because you tell it in such a, yeah, I just did it sort of way, which I respect, but I mean, it really does define everything about who you are. I mean, even the car thing, right? Like Jason, you just kind of saying like, yeah, well, got that done in like 4 weeks. It's like, if you have a goal, no matter what roadblocks, you know, your dad was probably trying to prolong you from leaving or stop you from leaving. Like, you can leave when you pay off the car. And it wasn't just paying off the car, it was getting it fixed. And you did it in what, a month or 2?
A few months, yeah.
Oh no! If she's after it, just
It's
just
over.
get on the train with her, because you're gonna want to be where she goes when she gets there. And her dad,
So cool.
is the kind of guy that eats nails. Like,
Right.
I think I'll just have some nails for breakfast. He's like, oh, I just cut my hand open. Pass me the super glue. Like, we are talking as manly a guy as you actually get. You're like, WD-40? No, he spit on that thing. It will stop doing that. And so I don't know that much about him when I make this phone call. Ring, ring. Hey, how are you? Who's this? Hi, I'm in love with your daughter. And in tradition, I'd like to marry her. No kidding. I'm going to quote him. He said this. Yep. Kind of fast, ain't it? And now she says he doesn't talk like that. But trust me.
His accent when he does my dad's
He
voice.
talks like that. And I said, yeah, it's kind of fast, but when you know. I'm sweating bullets. I've peed a little in my pants. I'm doing this over the phone because I'm not making the 2,100-mile drive, whatever it is, 1,000-mile drive for 21 hours, because I'd rather stab myself with a fork in the face. Seriously, I'd punch an infant before I'd have to go over that. You can quote me. And he goes, well, wish we'd had a little time to get to know each other better. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. No worries. Okay. Okay, goodbye. Bye. Click. And I'm like, boom, approval. So you're telling me there's a chance? I'm like, this is amazing. So that's when I met her dad when I went out there, and that's when I talked to him and I asked him, and then I met her mom. Shoot, when did I meet your mom?
He met my mom when she flew out for our wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So tune in next week for podcast number 2. We'll get to that because we know you don't care about going this deep into this story. But yeah, this is I think we got very lucky. We got very lucky in how fast we got together and what our ideals were in raising a family and wanting to treat each other the way that we've chosen to do that. And that was 17 years ago.
And
17's popping up a lot right
that's
now.
a lot to say because we came from
Good
two
luck, good number, good power.
very different.
Very different families.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask
Very
about
different.
that. I think the mom thing's entertaining, frankly. Was it when you met
Oh, I have
Mom,
entertainment. Forget her mom. Forget her mom. Welcome.
Well,
I get to go back. Oh, you want this?
Listen, I know a listener on the other end's like, no, I want to know, like, was the mom as scary as the dad? Or did it give you like a little bit more of a, okay.
No
I
comment.
Can,
No
as long
comment.
as mom is
Moving
there, I can
forward.
handle
We
dad.
agreed that the mom was off limits. Oh my gosh. No.
We never got a note that said mother-in-laws are off limits.
Oh my gosh. No, not her mom. Was that by design? Did you not let me meet your mom on purpose?
Maybe a little.
See,
Maybe
I'm
a little.
So glad that I asked
This
the
is
question.
getting this. No, but forget her mom. Like, okay, your mom. We'll talk about it. But let me tell you where I'm coming from. I go back to Iowa. I go to meet her family. Not her mom at the time. Her parents
Gosh,
are separated.
I know exactly.
I'm
what
going to
to tell me.
Thanksgiving dinner. It's no big deal.
Right.
All right, let's go to Thanksgiving dinner. That sounds great. I go to a cabin in the woods in Iowa. Timber. There's timber out there. It's all good. We're sitting around the table. I look over in the corner. There's a shotgun on the floor. Hi, I'm a city boy from Salt Lake. What the heck is a shotgun doing at Thanksgiving dinner? Well, this is Iowa. It's guns. It's shooting and guns and
Right.
drinking. We're doing the deal. And so we're in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. Grandma. Oh, hold on. Gets up, walks over, picks up the shotgun. I'm like, I gotta go. This is the end. This is it. She walks out onto the deck, and she has 3 bird feeders 20 yards off. 3 bird feeders 20 yards off the deck. And they're on poles, but she's greased the poles. And
That's for the
she's like,
chipmunks and
oh.
squirrels, right?
She goes, the coons. There's a coon that tries to get up there, and then it starts to slide down. She blows that coon right off the pole. Just blew it right off there. Just shot it right off the deck. And I'm like,
But we're all
Like, I
still
didn't know
eating.
Red
Like
Riders
it's
could do
nothing,
that.
Not
right?
a big deal to you guys.
No,
Oh, no, I'm
Not at
crying.
all.
In his face.
I'm crying. Like,
and I'm like,
I have enough adrenaline.
What's the problem here?
I could
just
lift a
don't-
car at them. I was like, they will kill me. Like this, I'm gonna die. And she comes in like it was no big deal. Everyone's all like, oh, can you pass the corn? Oh, this apple corn is so good.
He just
like,
looks at me like
corn.
she just
I'm like,
shot
this-
a coon.
You
off
just
the,
killed a coon. Yeah, I grease the poles so that I can get those coons. They try to get my birds. And I'm like, I won't.
Those little bastards.
I won't try to get your birds. I think we're good. Okay. And I'm like, this is my future. This is where it's happening. So it was
like
just
my super soaker couldn't do that.
no
way.
no. But
But that's like
that's when I knew.
the other thing I love about Iowa, because there was just something to be said about, like, especially from my dad and the way I was raised, like, it was you learn to work hard.
Right.
And nothing's off limits, and you work for what you want, and that's that. And I feel like he instilled that in us so much that it's the reason that, well, especially for a company, because I think, especially now, it's just everything's a fad, like get rich overnight, do these things. I'm like, no, maybe here and there, but that is not the case. Like, it is so much hard work and not giving up and just continuing when nothing goes right, nothing goes according to plan, and you just keep going.
Oh, and that's been our motto. Like even from the day that we decided we were all in, we were gonna build Sexy Modest and sexymodest.com. We were like, we're doing this we knew there's no shortcut. There's lots of people like, oh, what's the magic secret? Oh, you guys,
You're a 10-year overnight success, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
10-year over. Well, longer.
Longer.
17-year overnight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's. I think a lot of people forget that there's everything that led up to the day that you had the idea, the leaving college, right? The traveling all over the country and surrounding yourself with models.
Surrounding yourself with models.
Listen, I had to take one for somebody's got to do that.
Well,
Somebody's
right.
got to
I
just.
mean,
But
I
that's
think
the comment I get a
shows how
ton
brilliant you
is
are,
like,
frankly.
oh, you just blew up overnight all the time.
Wrong.
You just blew up overnight. And I always just kind of laugh and smile
Does it
because
make you
I'm
so
just
mad?
like, I don't even know, mad. Almost like I really do feel like people that aren't in it and don't do it, they're just clueless. Like they don't, I don't know. When you don't live that life and you
Right.
don't do that, you just don't get it.
When you've
So-
never gone through it, it's hard to know
to
how much
understand it.
goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know what you don't know there.
Because they just see what they see, you know,
Right.
and they don't see. And I feel like even on Insta, and I've tried to be better with that, but giving him more view of the hard things, you know, and not just all the good. Because
Well, and that's what this is for. That's why the podcast is so cool, because both Andrew and I are entrepreneurs, right? We both had plenty of things that we had to struggle with to start our businesses, and that's the story that people need to hear. 90% of the people will never get it because maybe it's like your dad in a sense, like tough guy works hard, but he could never envision like, okay, just leaving school, seat of your pants, go to Utah, take a risk, and think that it's going to work out. Traditionally, most people are not willing to take any sort of risk.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's easier to just kind of say like, oh, I wish I could be that lucky. So
Yeah,
and start
yeah.
overnight. And it's like, look, you could. You just have to.
So I want to go back to you dressing people, because is that kind of the genesis of Sexy Modest? Was you invited people to your house to dress them? Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, so I kind of did these styling sessions.
And what is that? Like that they would bring their clothes and you would like tell
Well,
them what to wear?
I started carrying clothes. So I had clothes there, and I would kind of just help dress them for their
Like-
body shape,
Like you were like a
style.
wholesaler, like you would just like buy like other people's clothes and you would just resell them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they would come over it's just like almost like a boutique, you know, but it was in my house, and
Yeah.
they'd come over and I'd help dress and style them. And I just word of mouth, honestly, because I did it on the weekends, Friday.
Yeah, we only did
Fridays.
it one day.
Yeah, one day a week.
Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. She'd dress you. And it was something that she was like, okay, I'll do it, and we'll have it come in and word of mouth.
Yeah, because first it was just people that asked me and friends and whatever, and then
I was
word
going
of
to say,
mouth.
like, how did you get it out? Because there wasn't social media
Nope.
No.
back then.
And then one Friday, 100 people showed up.
Wow.
How?
I mean, just as it grew, like
This
word
was-
of mouth.
it
So
was
it's like
5 or
first
6
there's a
months down the
few,
road.
and then the next Friday there's a few more, and the next Friday, you know, it just grew. And I thought, oh my gosh, my neighbors, there was cars parked.
They're changing in
down
our
the
bathrooms,
street.
in our kitchen, in the garage.
Yeah, they're all over
they're
the house
their clothes.
changing, and there's cars all down my street. I'm like, my neighbors are going to kill me. I was also worried about like liability. People are walking around back. Our yard wasn't even landscaped. They're walking around back our unlandscaped
Falling
yard,
in
like
window
down.
wells.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
like,
totally.
they're going to fall and get hurt. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And the funny thing too about it is at the time I was pregnant with twins.
Oh, geez.
And so I was just
Whoa.
like, I have all these people in my house
Nothing to
all the
do.
time. People I don't know in my house, and I'm going to have 2 brand new babies soon. Like, what are we going to do?
How is this going to work?
Yeah.
Because the main thing that we did as people would come over, it didn't matter. If you come over, we get your email. Come on. So we started to build the email list so that we could write.
How did you know to do that?
We knew that was the only thing that would allow us to continue
To remarket.
to start to build the core following of the business.
Did that come from like your speaking days? Like, was that something that you learned?
We picked that up. We picked that up along the way, but I think there was some of the entrepreneurship was certainly common sense in, you know what, if they just come and buy a shirt from us and they leave, it's over. I might as well go sell cars. Why am I because I can't give them something else that they may need or they may want because they bought a shirt, they like us, they like the style we have. I'm obligated to help this client in the future come and go, hey, I want to put it out there that we have new styles. If you want them, you can come get them. And we got invited to do a couple of different trade shows, and it didn't matter at the trade shows if we broke even, lost money, and we did all of those things or made money. We had to get your email so that we could tell you. And I would sit down with her every week and we would write it. And it was, dear freaking Sexy Modest family, here's the plan. Here's what's coming. Friday 10 to 6. We hope you'll make it. Goodbye.
See, even that you say it's common knowledge, that was that was so not common knowledge.
There's no school of YouTube then either.
Even now today, as people would think that's common knowledge, they aren't doing stuff like that. So the fact that you were thinking about that already when you got started just kind of shows the mindset of like the entrepreneur in both of you. Like you're both kind of like, oh yeah, that's what we have to do that. That makes total sense. But I would say a lot of people probably didn't, and still don't think that way, which is kind of unique.
Well, and I think too, remember Jenna last week from Jenna's Kitchen, she said that there are other mediums of advertising outside of social media. Like there's still a lot you can do just by talking, just by
sure.
Oh, influencing
like you said,
others.
you
yeah,
had
it's like word of mouth.
4 or 5 people show up at your house, and a few weeks later there's 100, and there's no social media. That still rings true even now. I mean, I think social media, like we've just had it kind of drilled into our minds that it's the only way to advertise, but it's not. I mean, there's still a lot of value in getting out there and just doing things face to face.
Well, and I think there's lots of companies too, like as you follow Brigitte on Instagram, what you find about what's different, and this is the Iowa in her, is it's straight authenticity. Right. Like you're just going to get authentic. People fall in love with Bridge because she's not going to keep up with the Joneses. She's going to tell you, hey, this was a win for us. I'm crying in my closet today because this is how hard it is. This is why it is. And I think that endeared people to kind of feel like, oh my gosh, it's the last horse at the race, but we hope she crosses the finish line. You know, I think they became cheerleaders for her because this is a woman who's, as you get to know her, you want her to win because you know she's doing this to serve you.
Right.
She's doing it to serve you. So when we have 100 women show up, we said, okay, we got problems here. We sat down, we wrote an email, and we told all of them, we said, listen, if we don't have to raise our prices, we're going to find a brick and mortar, we're going to kick the doors open, we'll be open in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, we found it. We opened it all up.
Are you serious?
And I wrote the email with Bridge by my side. And I'll never forget the title. It said, Sexy Modest opens its doors. We're throwing our please don't make us move into your basement sale. Come and see us. And from the day that store opened till the day it closed, day one, we never did more money than in day one. The support was off the charts.
And here's the thing, like, so when he tells that story where it's like, okay, 2 weeks, like easy peasy, right?
No.
So
inventory, racks.
I know, but
up,
so
leases negotiated.
We actually went and looked in a place in Alpine because I'm like, it's close by, it's close, and I'm pregnant with twins, right?
Should be on bed rest.
So I meet this guy, and I'm excited. I'm young, and I'm just all the things, right? Like just pumped, on top of the world. We're gonna open this store. And I go meet him, and he says to me, what's the name of your store? And I said, Sexy Modest. And he's like, nope. Nobody will support you. That's a terrible name. That's not a good name for you talking. Like, just drills into me. And I'm like, no lie, verge of tears. And I'm like, okay, so can I just see the space? Like, will you just show me? He's like, nope. Got in his car and left. I cried all the way home. And I'm just like, okay, maybe I should change my name because I'm second guessing myself, right? Like, he's a lot older. He knows. Here's this business guy. Won't even give me the time of day. So this is all in that 2 weeks. So there's another part of that story. But also in the 2 weeks, when we did find the location, our first store was down in American Fork next to Smart Cookie in the movie theater. Signed
Next
that
to
lease.
Sticky Shoe. I grew up in American Fork. That theater is nasty.
So, yeah. So now we sign the lease for where we are going to be. And that very same day that we sign the lease, I go to my doctor's appointment, and we've signed the lease, we've put money down. And that's why it was like, we have 2 weeks that we've got to start making money because we're going to owe money. Sign the lease, go to my doctor's appointment. He puts me on bed rest that day. And I'm like,
Whoa.
Entrepreneurship. It's easy. Get started. Call.
how am I going to do this? Like, we had no money, and the money we did have, we invested. We put it down, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to make it work. So just so many trials, you know, along the way that I think people don't see. But that story is kind of funny where the guy with the lease, so was it probably 4 years? 4 years later, we're just growing like crazy. I have a warehouse now. I've got 3 stores.
Are you have you started making your own at this time, or were you just like a boutique at that point?
Just a boutique, yeah.
That's just what I'm not like
Right.
discounting it, but
right,
I don't know
but I
how
hadn't
else to do
started
it.
my
just
own line
a
yet.
boutique. Ah,
Yeah.
This guy.
I was actually designing for some
Ew.
other boutiques
Okay.
here and there. And then, so it probably was 4 years later, and I've got a warehouse, 3 brick and mortar locations, and I'm sitting at the desk in my warehouse, and in walks the guy. This is like 4 years later. He's like, do you know?
From Alpine, the space?
Yes. He's like, do you know who I am? Yeah, I know. I mean, you don't forget
You're
that,
douche
right?
real estate agent.
And he's like,
He was the owner.
he was the owner. Yeah.
Douche owner.
Yeah. And he's like, all my girls and my wife, they love your line. They love your brand. They wear it all the time. And I've got some space available. I'd love for you to come look at it. And I'm like, I was nice. Thanks for your business card, you know, but just things like that where I'm like, it's just so interesting, those type of trials and how they kind of come full circle sometimes. And I was telling Jace last night, we were kind of talking about it, and I was like, it's just funny because I feel like when you're nobody and you're starting out and you have nothing, like the people that are on your side and cheering you on then versus when he's like, oh, look what you've done.
You could probably make rent now.
My
Yeah,
family
I charge a
loves your
premium.
brand, you know, and then they come back around and it's like, wait, but where were you when I'm this young girl trying to open a store and I come to you to rent space from you?
And see,
So-
Bridge, she called me. She goes, you're not going to believe who just walked in the door. And so she tells me the story. And it's funny. She usually goes to a place more of compassion, like, oh, okay, that happened with her. And I am I'm shoulder devil. Because I was like, oh, no, he did. You know, I was like, are you serious? Did you just go, ha, 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 I don't think so. Is your wife sexy modest? Did that set his ears ablaze? Was he just like, oh, that's just taboo? I don't even know if we talked about why we called it sexy modest or how it happened. Or we get people all the time. They're like, sexy modest? How can he be sexy modest? That's an oxymoron.
And this
That was
isn't
the first thing Cam
1980.
said.
Yeah. I totally
Oh,
said
then
that.
bring it. Let's.
No,
So
I
what-
think it's great.
Oh.
It's fine. I'm not judging it.
I just
What's
mean-
funny is like it's not Footloose, Utah, right? Like this is like what 2000 what
9?
9,
Mm-hmm.
and there's still some old Utah. Almost every podcast that happens, like just when my faith in Utah County starts to get restored, we hear a story, and I'm just like, those people are still out there. That just because the word "sexy's" in it,
Oh, they're
it's
few.
like, oh, that's not gonna work. It's
I
like,
think
no,
they're
it's
few and
sexy
far between.
modest.
You know, he just. I think they just. There's some that just want to be offended to talk about it at the water cooler. I think that's certainly happening. But
When
the
you-
vast majority.
What's this
of
guy's
those
name? I'm
that-
just
no. I got a plug for you. Tell this guy to plug it. The vast majority, though, that see the mission that Bridge is on for Sexy Modest, like when you go out on date night and your wife is dressed to the way that she feels comfortable dressing, you got Sexy Modest. You're looking
Right.
at it.
So when you started buying clothes, did you know that was kind of your path? Or when you started, were you just kind of buying whatever you thought was going to sell? Or did you always know this is the type of clothes that I want to sell, that I want my brand to be? Like, how did you know that?
Well, that is the reason I started, because I felt like there is nothing to wear. And honestly, when I would source clothes, it took me forever because I would have to find things that I felt like we could wear. Because my thing is I'm like, I don't want to wear 57 layers of clothing, you know? So, and that was one of the other reasons that I think word spread so fast, because they knew when they came to shop with me that you wouldn't have to layer, or you wouldn't have to go to another store to find something to wear under it or to wear over it. It was like, this works just the way it is. So, and to find clothes like that, even from all the clothing manufacturers available, it was hard because that's just not ideal and standard for most people. So that's when that's when I start designing, really, because I'm like, and for me, I feel like fashion, for sure, it's an art. And I also feel it's how people express themselves. And when you don't feel like you can do that, or when you feel like you have to give up your standards to do that, and that's where I feel like it's not fair. Like we can have both. We can have our standards and feel like we can express ourselves with our style and be comfortable.
This is where Bridge is magical. This is why Sexy Modest has won, and this is 100% Brigitte. Because what would happen, this was born out of her coming to Utah, seeing that, oh, I'm joining the church. There's a certain dress standard here, and it's the one I want. It's how I want to live. So she would go on the hunt, and she could find clothes that were cute but not modest, or modest but not cute, or modest and cute, but they were terribly uncomfortable. And so she went to work on the designing. And when she launched her line, I mean, we're sitting talking to some dudes right now, but for the ladies that are listening out there, this woman thinks of everything. Like, I will watch her work on prototypes, and she's like, I got to double layer the bottom because we're not going to have the panty lines here. It's got to be made out of more breathable material. This is not going to work for them. They're going to put it on and feel like, oh my gosh, am I in menopause? I'm 19 years old. This is killing me. Like, I need to put. So, and not there's anything wrong with menopause. You can get through it. But what I'm saying is,
what do you know?
What I'm saying is that she thinks through those things. Every piece that she has, she's like, listen, if you raise your arm, I don't want them to be able to see the bra strap or the line here. Or I think what made her almost notorious, I mean, she became famous for, she created a white t-shirt because she's a jeans and t-shirt girl in her heart of hearts, when she's like, I just wanted to be comfy. I hate wearing a white t-shirt because
they're all see-through.
They're see-through. So she goes to work on a prototype, she lines it, and it's been one of the number one sellers of all time, because now you can wear a jeans and t-shirt and you don't have to worry about, you can wear a white tee without having it be see-through, and you can find that at sexymodest.com. Okay, I'm back. What I'm saying though is that caught the attention even of the number 3 retailer in the world, Costco, which is another story, but I don't know if you have time for that today.
We have all the time in the world, but that's up to you. But you know, one thing that kind of stood out to me, this has really only happened one other time, and it was with Rena. You remember that little spiel that she gave about Perk? And it just, like, we were all in a trance, just probably the same way you felt when he was on stage in Iowa, Brigitte.
Yes, like that.
When
like,
you
whoa,
were
look at
just
that body.
talking about the way that you think clothes need to be. I mean, really, the start of your company, you were very different. This was just 2 minutes ago. That 30, 40 seconds you spent about, like, I don't want layering. I need this. I need this. It was so matter of fact and so passionate. You probably didn't see it, but it totally, I was just like, yeah, we do need that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take one.
She's right. And it is really cool to be able to see that. You probably have no idea you're even doing it. Maybe you're so used to seeing it you don't notice it. But when you started talking about your clothes, your methods, you know, what you think you want and what women want, it was like there was a different gear. And you can really see the passion come out of it when you're talking about it. That's why we need to have better video in this, because that clip would have been cool, because it is. It's like Jenna last week. You don't have to sell things when you're truly passionate about it. At that point, you're just sharing things. You don't feel like you're getting sold to when somebody is speaking about their product the way you just were. And I think that really makes a huge difference.
It totally rings true. And I think as you watched her, even on Instagram, people know that Bridge does this. She does it for them.
Right.
Like, we quit our retail stores. We closed them all right when it made 0 sense to do it. because she needed to be true to who she was. Things were slipping with our family and the time we wanted to spend and do all. She realigned what needed to happen, and we cut out what needed to be cut out. And I think that certainly didn't help us grow as fast as we could have. But we have the conversation all the time. We're not out to be bazillionaires.
Exactly.
Right? Because I know people with tons of money that are not happy. I just want to know that when I come home or when we snuggle the little ones or we're out doing what we're doing, that the stuff that actually matters, we spend our time there. And we do that by, yes, we sell clothes, but you can buy clothes. You can buy clothes anywhere. The reason why I think those that buy from Brigitte buy from her is because she knows, or they know that she loves them. They know that she's put the time in. She's working on it here for them. I mean, we've done it for food money, but she'd have done it for free, just to have just to see the messages that she gets. Like, I felt beautiful for the first time and didn't worry about my standards. I didn't worry about falling out. I'm a professional. I'm a photographer. I do this at weddings, and I finally can put my stuff on. I feel pretty again. You know, she has a temple collection line, and they're like, I made it back to the temple. I made it back to a place that was important to me, because finally, for the first time in a long time, I feel beautiful again, right?
And it sounds silly.
Doesn't at all.
But I'm telling you, like, it started with clothes, but it's so much more now. You know what I mean? And my passion has grown so much more just in other areas, because I truly have so much love and compassion for these women. And that's why, I mean, closing my stores was really hard. Like, there were a lot of tears shed over it, because I'm like, this is my blood, sweat, and tears. And it's that one-on-one, right? And I am huge on customer service. It is so important to me. And so to close that and go online and not have that one-on-one with these women was really hard. But also, I had to do what was right for my family. And at the time, I had 3 little girls, and I was drowning, honestly. And I was like, something has to give. And when you're successful and things are growing like that, that's really hard to make that decision, but it's always the right decision to make.
Sure.
Yeah, we looked at that and we're going, well, are we successful? You know, like, we got no time for the kids. We got no time for this. Yeah, so we have a little bit more money than we used to, but at what cost, right? We're always asking ourselves. That's almost how we set the meter. Like, we have these opportunities. Yeah, but at what cost? And every time we slip from those priorities, we're brought right back the hard way. Just sledgehammer to the face in the life lessons of, you know, making sure that you try to balance as best you can the things that matter to you. Because some are out to, I want to be a bazillionaire. Great.
Everyone has their own priorities, right?
That's right.
How much time do you guys have? I know.
We're good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing anything. we got nothing to do.
Good.
I do want to brag about her.
I have a lot more questions.
So you do?
Go ahead.
Do you want to fire, though? Do you want to fire on them?
Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to tell you about, and this may answer it for you, but the people that follow Brigitte, the reason why Sexy Modest has become what it was is because every day Bridge gets up and she goes to work and she does it for the right reason, right? Some things don't make money at all, but they're irrelevant. When she talks about 5-star customer service, you won't find a boutique. You won't find one that will, and we can say it. I got no problem saying it. Like, I don't want you to shop anywhere else because they don't love you as much as we do.
So, I mean, even you get on your website, because I was looking around, and the first thing that pops up is there's 3 people ready to chat, like, instantly on your site.
Chat, yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, just little things like that set you apart from other places.
Well, those women own our pieces. They come in, they try them on, they make sure they know how they're going to fit. They've sized thousands of women. They're available from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day to take care of you. If you have a question, I need this, or I you know what?
Goes back to your customer service thing. You want to make sure that you're providing them all answers and, you know, all along the way, that they don't feel like they're ever forgotten or left behind.
Well, and I do. Oh, sorry. I do all of my own Instagram. So I do all of my DMs and I do all of the posting, and it's a lot. I get a lot of DMs, and I really have been trying to figure out, how can I prioritize my life better? Because I have a lot of work to squeeze in a small amount of time, because I'm still a stay-at-home mom for the most part. And that, as far as efficiency goes, isn't the most efficient for me to be doing that. But for me, it is because it's the reason I do what I do. And
you would never give that part up.
I just can't. And
Yeah.
I've tried before, but I'm like, this is really what I'm passionate about. And the stories, and when they write me about little things, or when they need help with little things and things that don't even matter, right? Where I feel like exactly what we talked about before, where it started with clothes, but it's become so much more than that. And I want to be their cheerleader when they're having a hard day or whatever. And that's just something that, even though it's not efficient, I feel like it's one of the main reasons I do what I do.
Well, this is where the why trumps the how.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's obvious. And when you do see what you've kind of grown your social media to, you can't do that without this type of like why behind it, right? The interaction, the constant feedback, and being you. When did you get comfortable being that open though? Because you made a couple of comments like, I'm not super outgoing, or, you know, stuff like that. When did you get comfortable just kind of bearing it all on Insta, on story? Like, this is me, the good, the bad. I'm not ready. I am ready. You know, like, was that kind of a progression for you? If you always kind of felt that?
It was a progression, because I mean, social media is hard. Like, they will chew you up and spit you out. Like,
will.
It is hard. But I will say the type of following that we've created, they are amazing. I see some of the things that other people get, you know, and as far as messages and things like that. And it is rare that I get negative but we kind of, when I did start being more open, I was very upfront, being like, negativity isn't welcome here. I will block you. I don't want it. That's not going to be in my space, because that's not what we want. That's not the reason I get on and do this, you know? And so, but I do feel like one of the reasons that I was more willing, even though it's hard to be more open, is because that is kind of why social's hard, where I feel like people see these pictures of this perfect life, you know, and they make their own assumptions. And I feel like it's a lot of the reason that women feel so crappy about themselves, or
100%.
why they're depressed. And that's a whole nother story.
They compare their real life to the model photo shoot.
Yes.
And they're like, I don't look like that. And it's like,
totally.
well,
or my life's
do
not
we.
like that.
Yeah.
But they believe that it is, because for some reason they want to make them believe that,
Yeah.
you know. And I just don't agree with that. That's never been my mindset, because, and like, even when people meet me and they'll say, oh, I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity, it's so awkward for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just like you. And I need to show that more, because I never want to feel like I'm on a different level, you know? And I just think it's so important for these women to realize, like, they're with the good is the bad, you know, and there's really hard things, and we're all dealing with them. And I think that it's good that people show that, you know, and it makes me sad when they don't, and people believe that their life isn't good enough, or it could be better, or it's not what they wanted, you know. This is a whole nother podcast. Don't get me
see,
started.
I love that. I think that it does connect people to you and let them learn, excuse me, kind of where your passion comes from. Like, what, if you don't mind me asking, and you can tell me that I don't want to answer this, but what's the hardest thing that personally you guys, you know, you or together have shared on Instagram, you know, outside of the business realm, like something that happens in your personal life that maybe you have shared with your followers?
I would probably say my infertility and my in vitro stories with our family.
Oh, wow.
So, and the funny thing about that is, I feel like that's the other thing that's so amazing, because I feel like when you share those things, it's amazing how helpful you are to somebody else, like your trials, you know? And it was really hard to share that, because I do feel like when you have trials and hard things in your life, you feel broken a little bit. So it's hard to be open and share it. And you feel like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't this happen for me? But then you do share it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I have just helped so many people. And I also feel like it was kind of an answer to, why am I going through this, you know? Because the questions and the things I got, I feel like I could have never helped people in this way and connected with them had I not gone through that. So I feel like it's funny, because we always try to avoid the trials, right? We try to avoid the hard conversations and the trials. And it is always, always, always where all the growth happens, like where all the good stuff. And I'm like, why do we avoid that so hard when we know the good that comes from it? So,
well, and it came back to you. We talk about that a lot in our podcasts. I'm a big all of the best things that have ever happened to me started with the worst things that happened to me. And by opening and sharing, now you've got a lot of support too. Because, I mean, it does help you a lot to know that there's other people struggling. I'm not alone. And, man, just getting it off your chest that's where you start. And if you don't ask other people for help, I almost think a lot of times things like that, that's kind of what God's waiting to teach us is, like, I'll help you as soon as you help yourself a little bit.
Oh,
Sure.
So as soon as you've got the guts to ask for a little help from the people that I've put there to help you, then I'll jump in and we'll get this going. But, so, you know, it's just one other experience where you realize, like, hey, your followers aren't just your followers. You know, it is kind
They're
of a
not
family.
just dollar signs,
right. It is a community.
Oh,
It's
no,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah,
share.
I'm always like, they're my people.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
are my people.
I'm going to share everything with them, and in turn, they're going to share with me, and we can learn from each other, and that bonds you in a way that's not your normal company, you know, customer relationship.
And don't you feel like when people open up about their trials and hard things in life, like that's where for me, like I become way more compassionate and loving towards that person when they're vulnerable like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I feel like the
You can
relationships
connect on
and
a
the
level
bonds.
that you would have never have connected otherwise.
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
and I think sometimes it's hard for people to figure that out when they're like, oh, I'm just talking to my phone here. When we went through infertility, there were people that were messaging and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going through the same trial, or this happened to my best friend. What do I tell her? It is just gut wrenching to hear the stories of just what a trial that is for mothers that that do have to deal with that, because it wasn't always that way for her. Like our first daughter, our oldest daughter, she was immaculate conception. Bam. And then 4 years go by.
Another edit. I'm sorry.
No.
For
I like it when he compliments
All of a sudden, our
himself.
podcast is 4 minutes long. What the heck?
oh,
Where's
thanks
the
for
rest
coming
of it?
in. Oh,
We
we've
should
gone
have
dark
never
this
let
week.
Jason come.
Welcome to Modest Shopping. Thanks for coming, guys.
Remember
Yeah.
when I said you could bring your husband?
4 years go by, and we're trying. I keep trying to convince her that maybe we're just not doing it often enough, and nothing's working, right? But at the end of what's happening, or maybe we were doing it wrong, or maybe we should try this with the and
Right.
Oh my gosh.
so what happened was 4 years 4 years later, we go through all the steps prior to doing in vitro, and then none of them work. They all fail, and all of a sudden, bam, we get the twinners. We get the twinners, and that turns it all upside down.
With in vitro.
Yep, with in vitro. And then we were like, okay, we've had twins. So we have 3 girls, and that's probably just one too many, but 2 came out at once, so we're gonna just have to deal with it. We work our way through it, and 9 years go by. 9 years go by, and Bridge comes to me, and she's like, "There's another one," and I'm like, "Let's get it on." And she's like, no, I think in vitro.
She's like, I don't mean that.
That's
I
not
was
what
like, can we get it on anyways?
So I have she's 4 months old today.
Oh,
we have a
amazing.
4-month-old baby. We have a decade age gap
Wow.
between. So it's Kira, the twins, and then 10 years.
And
So
she's 4 months today.
she's 4 months today.
She's gonna
And
be
today's our anniversary
spoiled.
as
Today's
well.
your
Oh,
anniversary.
Shut your mouth.
Is it
Today's your
really?
anniversary.
Totally. And we thought, you know what? Hot date with these mofos. We're doing it. Should we sit around a table and tell our story? Let's do it.
Wow, thanks, guys. And it's the first time in 13 years that BYU is going to beat Utah tonight.
It's episode
This is-
17.
this is
17's your favorite. Wayne's Gretzky's on the wall behind me. Like, this is batting
There's
1,000.
a lot of good stuff
A
today.
lot of good stuff.
Wow.
Can I share one more good thing with you?
Yeah.
So I've been chatting with one of your employees on your website.
Oh.
Tell us which one. Who
Do you know all of them?
Yeah.
What?
Is it Reese?
We
It's
tight.
not. It's Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay's magical.
So I just wanted to see how quick the customer service was, and it was quick.
Did
and
you
I
clock
didn't
it?
ask about clothing. I just said, how do you like working for these two? I said, I'm doing a podcast with them right now. And so she said, absolutely love it. I'm like, I asked her, are there any stories or anything that inspires you about what they do? Can I read you the answer?
Yeah.
She gave me permission to share this answer, by the way. I told her afterwards, like, if you get a raise, you're welcome. So,
And if you get fired,
Yeah, if you get fired.
you can blame this guy.
so this is what Lindsay said. I'm inspired by women entrepreneurs because having a family and running a business is a ton of work. I admire her dedication for pushing through so many trials in life and not giving up her dream in fashion. Also, we all know that it's tricky to be sexy and modest. So, obviously, I love that too. You know what else is inspiring? When they closed their storefront, they didn't give up. They found a way to still keep going. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, I don't know if any of my employees would say anything like that.
Well, and along those same lines, regrets you have, things you don't see. There is so much good out there that you're creating on the social media front as well. You talk about the messages when you are open and you're vulnerable and you share what's happening. You've talked about some of the messages you get. I was always the anti-social media guy. I had it deleted for years because you find what you're looking for, and I was always finding the negative things about it, right? But talking to people that have come on here who have built businesses and use social media is a big part of that. It's been amazing the good that comes from it. Like, it's been eye-opening to me, the messages. Even us, we are getting messages now from people that are like your message today is going to change somebody's life. Like, you being willing to come on here and just talk about this kind of stuff, it's either going to motivate somebody, it's going to change their life. And it's so awesome that there's now a platform to where you can find that kind of stuff. And I think it just goes to kind of the type of people you are and how you're going to build your business and your brand and your community. And it's just really cool to see all the positive impact that you're having. And I mean, there's a testimonial for you right there with one of your employees, you know, to know that you're doing it the right way. And I just think it's so cool, because I think it's easy to get caught up in the negative stuff in it, but to be able to do it, I don't know.
For sure.
I'm going to jump off my soapbox.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you
Well,
for
and
that.
I think the other thing that we haven't factored in yet is working with your spouse.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very fun and attractive man, but you
you see what I
no
have
homo.
to put up
No
with.
homo.
You see what I have to put
Some
up with.
homo?
Some.
Just a little
Listen,
bit?
here's how I know there's no homo.
He's
okay?
across the table.
Listen.
Wait, what's happening?
So
Hand on my leg?
So no, I can't reach that far. Anyway, we have wide tables. So I feel like God kind of steps in sometimes, right? With guys that need to soften up a little bit. Like, I think with you,
Are you saying
there's
I'm
a lot
soft?
of manliness here.
Okay, all right.
This is why. You married like a fashionista, right? The 2 suitcases, wanted to take pictures for 7 or 8 hours. I don't know how long it was. But then you have how many daughters?
4.
4 daughters. 4 daughters. 100 women in your house trying clothes on. Like, you are man enough to handle. I mean, you are in a woman's world, right?
Yeah, I feel very in touch.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very in touch here. Like, there's days in my house I feel like I'm gonna start my period at any moment. Like we're synced up. Here we go. This is
Another clip we got to cut.
this
No,
is
we don't. We're not getting any of this stuff. But I think
and
that's,
this will inspire you and all
Okay.
just the few men that are listening out here. Listen, I will just tell you right now. You want to know what women want? You can just forget about that right now. That is not going to happen for you, because I've worked with them for 15 years. I married the most beautiful woman on the planet and had 4 daughters, and I work in women's clothing. I still know Jack. Like, that's really where we are. But I'm certainly in touch. If you need to get if you need some clothing, you need to get dressed. Yeah, I got that all the time. They were like, I just really love working with that guy at the store. When I had to work at the store, because we're twins, we're going to have to go. Are you going
Right.
to work with them? Am I? Okay, I'll go work the shift. They would come in and they're like, that guy, I'm not really sure about that guy, but I just love that he dresses because he just feels like he's really in touch. Look, we'll get you dressed. We'll get you dressed right. But Bridget's taking all the precaution for that. But yeah.
And you mentioned like working with your husband, and I just have to add this because I feel like Jason for sure doesn't give himself enough credit, because it started with an idea that I had and the designing, and I love that part of it. But as far as that's just one aspect of what we do. And that's why I think too, people think, oh, this will be so fun. It'll be so easy, because that is the fun part. That is the part that you love. But when you run a business, There's a million other things that you have to do that aren't fun, that you don't love to do, that have to be done.
Well, not to mention everything personally that's going on. People forget that.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep a marriage going and kids, you got to raise kids and you know, dealing with the stores closing, dealing with the frustrations of in vitro. I mean, there's a lot of hard things in business. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome to start a business, but you got to handle normal life at the same time.
Right. And I feel like, so we work so well together because we're just talented in different ways and we don't butt heads a lot, but I mean, it's still really hard, you know? And I feel like for sure having communication, because I've met a lot of people that they are starting to run a company with their spouse. And they're always like, I don't know how you guys do it. How do you do it? And we're always like, don't forget to date each other. Go on dates. And when you go on dates, you do not talk about business.
Right.
It does not get brought up. But I was saying before, I'll go back. Like, he doesn't give himself enough credit because for me, I think one of the biggest things is he for sure believed in me before I believed in me, and having those people, those cheerleaders on your side, because there's no way I could do what I do without him. And there are times that I have wanted to throw in the towel so many times, and I would have. And he's like, no, you can't, you know? So finding those people in your life when you're in hard things or you're running a business or you want to give up, the ones that will cheer you on when you want to throw in the towel. And I feel like it's for sure successful because of him, because I would have gave up a long time ago.
Well, she's sweet to say that, but I'll just tell you, Bridge was destined for this from... It was written, like it was in the stars for this girl. And we adopted something a long time ago. Maybe even talked about it the night we met, was you are who you hang around, right? You are exactly who you hang around. Your income is the average of your 5 closest friends, right? Your parents, you know this, your kids, or they start hanging out with people, you know people, they don't swear, but they start hanging out with people that swear, and before you know it, boom. Or they don't drink. Oh, what, mother jumper? You know what I'm saying. I heard you. That hit a button? You can be
No, it didn't
it's okay.
hit a
Just
button.
get inspired.
You know what hit a button was the friends. I've never heard that friends thing. Like you are the average income.
You haven't heard
I've
that?
never heard that before.
Yeah, your
The
income is an
average
average
of
of your five closest friends. The
closest
second I heard that, I was
Sweet.
like, I
think
need
my
new
5 closest
friends.
friends are all richer than me.
Oh, well, then you're
So
good.
yeah, things are we're on the way up.
You're already
Sorry.
successful. You're already, it's already done. You don't
Yeah.
have to go to work. But we've noticed that those principles, they govern just who we are. And like she said, yes, working together it can be totally tough, and like it's not perfect. Those of you who follow us, you know that, but it's not perfect. And there's times we want to headbutt each other. I mean, I'd let her go first.
Sure.
But
Chivalrous.
we have a rule. We have a rule in our marriage, and it happens on our anniversary. What do?
Every year we decide if we're going to stay together for another year.
That's right. So you want the secret? I'm going to give it to all
But he
y'all.
always does it in front of the waiter at a restaurant.
Well, can
where
we
he's
do
like,
it now on the podcast?
We're deciding
please?
right now.
So here's the
Just
thing.
stay right there. We're deciding.
Yeah.
If we're going to stay, and they're always like, this is so awkward.
Oh yeah, we're out. Oh yeah, we're out to dinner. Can I take your? Hold on, just 1 second.
Do you guys know where
Are
you're
we
going
gonna
to dinner
Are
tonight?
we going to stay together? And we'll ask. And this is your one chance. This is your window. You want to get out? Now's the chance. Otherwise, we lock in for another year. She wants to go month to month. I'm not going to let her do it. She's got to stay on. It's a full year release.
Yeah, once you decide,
1 year renewal.
you're in it
Right.
for a whole year.
Nothing's a 1-year contract. That's compromise right there. Month to month is too short. That's easy to cancel.
So something I've noticed with the husband and wife scenario is just like how good the relationship is. I mean, I guess that's what it has to be, but I mean, you can tell you guys have your ups and downs with a good relationship.
There's awesome chemistry between you two,
Yeah.
which is really cool to see.
I want to change a little bit though, because it's something I always like to talk about because it's always on the front of my mind. And I kind of have an answer thanks to my wife, but how do you guys transfer kind of this entrepreneur, work hard, grind spirit mindset to your kids? Like, how are you guys helping them to kind of develop that muscle, if you will?
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
It's actually something I'm pretty passionate about because we did grow up very different, and I'm very old school that way. Because I grew up in a family where it's like you are going to work hard and you're going to work for what you want and you're not going to stop until you get it. And
And it's because back then, if you stopped, you literally wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah.
It's not like this.
That's right.
I'm going to make you work hard.
Just kidding.
Oh, I'm just still
I'll
going to give it to
anyways.
you.
Here's a
Right?
trophy.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like too, and I think it's because I grew up in Iowa. I know it's not, but I just think Iowa's fantastic.
You're almost like a Texan with Iowa. You know, Texans are just like obnoxiously proud about their state.
I am so proud of
But
that.
I wouldn't
I will
say
say
obnoxious. I'd say extremely obnoxious. You start talking about meat and corn and
Yeah, don't get me
Wrestling?
started.
Oh, is this-
Wrestling?
I got
Come
this
on.
corn. I got this corn at the like, babe. It's organic. It's not Iowa corn. I know. My gosh. And this meat. Ugh. What they do? Ugh.
I just think, well, so, my dad he grew up on a farm, and just people back then, they just worked hard. And I feel like that is one thing that I am so glad that he instilled in us. And things weren't given to us and they weren't easy. Even when I feel like they could have given us things and I was mad that they didn't, where I'm like, why? You can, and now I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad he didn't, because the lessons that I learned from that.
For sure.
And we're totally on the same page about this, but I don't like to give things to my kids. I want them to work for it. I want them to learn the value of money. I also want, like, for us, we talk about money in front of our kids. I know for some people that's like taboo. Like, you don't talk about money. You don't talk about finances. We do it all the time.
Absolutely.
And probably
It's so healthy.
Probably
We're not
to
doing
a
it in
fault.
school.
Because,
No.
well, this is kind of funny because I thought, oh, is this too much? Like, I'm like ruining my kids, because a couple years ago, Kira wanted a new pair of Converse. And she already had Converse. And so I was like, oh, yeah, well, you have to earn the money. They're like $40, whatever they were. I don't even know. And they were talking about it in the car on the way home from school. And Kira said to her friends, yeah, I can't get those right now. Can't afford it. Don't have the money. Like $40 pair of shoes, And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be like the poor Shammies can't buy their kids shoes for school. But then I was like proud, because I was like, she understands the value of money, and it wasn't a need and it was just a want, And so our kids do, they go into the warehouse and they work and they earn things. And we went to Disneyland. My first time ever to Disneyland. I will
What?
add.
Wow.
I know.
It's awesome.
How do you feel about Disneyland? They're not listening.
I'm
You're
going to
okay.
lose so
You
many
better be
fans
careful.
right
you
now.
better be careful.
Okay, she prefers the beach. Let's move on.
I do. I prefer the beach. And the kids were little, and
When did you go to Disneyland, though? Sorry, how long ago was this?
We went.
Or like, what time of the year was it?
Okay,
Oh
don't.
no, we did the wrong.
Spring break.
yeah, we did.
Listen.
Okay.
It
okay.
was.
We
so you
did.
got to give it
horrendous.
another shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had another kid, so Disneyland, you get one more.
Yeah, but we made our kids earn. We'd pay for the flight, but they had to earn for their ticket. And they
That's
were
awesome.
like pulling weeds. They were going over to Granny's house and sweeping and jobs like that. And they have chore charts. And like for us, our kids don't get allowance. Like, you help around the house, so you're a part of the family. We work as a team, and that's just the way it is. I'm not paying you
To live here.
to live here. Yeah.
Like, I already got to pay for enough stuff. You're not getting allowances. Dumb. Yeah. You got to make them work for it.
And when they earn it for real, like when they do help me at work in the warehouse, I love that they get paid and see that money, because that puts value on it for them, and they're funny because of that, they're tight with their money. Like when my kids ask for something, they ask for stuff all the time. Kids do. But when I say, do you want to pay for it? Nope. They don't want it as bad, because they
Right.
realize,
It changes.
yeah, it totally changes. And when they understand that and how hard you have to work to earn it, like, how bad do you really want that? And that's how we know how bad they want things. Like, if you have to pay for half your dance camp, do you want to go? No, I don't. Well, then you don't want to go that bad.
Right.
So, and when they are willing to pay for it, we're like, okay, they really want this. You pay for part and we'll figure out a way to pay for the other half. And it's not about not being able to afford things.
No,
right?
not at all.
It's the lessons that they learn that are invaluable, that I feel like kids aren't learning these days.
They're
So,
certainly-
What did Gary Vee say? He said the best thing you can do for your kids is say no.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, we
It's
feel like
brilliant.
that's one of our biggest secrets. And I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, your kids are really well behaved." Well, that's because we hit them.
Everyone's hit their
First of
kids
all,
once in a while.
but we
I mean,
live in an
geez.
area where the social class is right from the middle class all the way up to bazillionaires, like just out of control. Like we'll go over to the junior high or we'll go to the high school and we'll see cars that should not be driven by successful businessmen, right? Businesswomen. Just if you have money to burn, our kids are pulling into the parking lot in these cars. And
Yeah, it's insane.
And we lose
It's one
our
bad
minds
thing
on this
about living
thing.
up there, huh?
But it's not just because it's not because, okay, you're driving the car and whatever. It's, as parents, we do them a huge disservice to rob them of that moment. Because I remember the first time we went in, we signed on the loan, we bought our own house. Like we did it shaking. I tinkled just a little and was like, okay, this.
He does that a lot.
Yeah. And it might have something to do with the infertility. Maybe there's something wrong with the pipes. I got to figure something out. So,
If Depends is listening.
But that not sponsored. Hashtag at Mr. Mata Shopping. Okay, call me later. So, but we signed on the dotted line. Like we locked it. We got a loan. This is our house. Like the moment that we did that and felt the weight of it, and there was such pride in that. We're adulting now, babe. I mean, like for real. And that some people will rob their kids of that on whatever scale you want it to be. Don't steal that from them to go out and become a beautiful citizen. Somebody that can go out and be like, man, I bought my own car. I'm like, I bought a phone or I bought this, but I had to cry for it. I had to work for it. Not just, oh, well, you turned 14, so you deserve it.
Well, and there's just something to be said about when you do work for something and you earn it. Like nothing can replace that.
100%.
And I mean, along those lines too, I remember when we bought our first boat, we found this old boat.
Ooh, yeah. We're on a boat. Listen to this story about our awesome boat. Go ahead.
Oh, well, the day was so cool because all the trials, all the hardship, the late nights, the sleepless nights, everything to build this business, right? And just to make ends meet. And we're both water people. I grew up on a lake. We love to boat, but we can't afford a boat, but we want a boat, you know?
We just want to grow up and be lake trash. That's why this boat story, like we have a boat, like let me tell you about this boat.
But we found this old boat that this guy was selling, and it was $10,000. And I will never forget, like, driving that boat home. We both kept turning around in the rearview mirror, like looking at the boat.
Yeah,
We're
still
like,
following us.
It's still there.
you guys, this is the cool, like we were so proud and so excited because we're like, we've worked so hard for this and we've earned this, you know. It wasn't the best of the best and it wasn't the brand new boat, but that wasn't the point, you know. It was that we just worked for something and we're able to do it, and just the excitement.
And you can't replace that with the kids. You really can't. Now, do they do bath bombs?
They do bath bombs.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, is that something that they've just done on their own, or how did that come to be? Because Jenna had to remind me about that. They've been used many a times at our house. She's like, those are my favorite ones that I've ever gotten.
Yes. So my kids, they used to just make potions all the time, mess around with potions. And they started in the shower mixing stuff, making bath bombs. And so I was like, oh, I'll help you. We'll make a legit bath bomb. I'll help you. So I helped them with a recipe for the bath bombs. They started making the bath bombs. And of course, then it was instantly lemonade stand. We got to sell these. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, you know. And they started selling them. And I posted about them on my personal Facebook, not my business.
Right.
And it was over Christmas. So I'm like, oh, good stocking stuffers, whatever. I thought, oh, this will be so fun. They'll get like 10 orders, you know.
Whoops.
They sold like 500 bath bombs. But no, it was almost bad because my kids were like, I kid you not, Mom, we got to drop out of school. We have too many orders. I can't go to school today. I have to stay home and work.
Again.
Like,
oh my gosh. And she's like, oh my gosh, they can't do that. I'm like, you're probably right. Let's go. Let's drop them. If the state doesn't make you go to, if it won't come arrest me for not sending us, this is the path.
No,
like,
every
let's go.
morning-
Let's roll.
every morning it was, I've got these orders, Mom. I can't go to school. I got to work. And I thought, oh boy, we've
Here we
created a
go.
monster. Yeah. But it's been so fun. So they did that. They do bath bombs. Kira will go to the shows like What a Woman Wants, or just some of these little expos they'll call, and she'll do a bath bomb booth, and I'll take her and set her up. But the girl can sell.
How old is
That's
she?
so
So
cool.
she turned 14
Holy
this week.
crap.
So
That's
Oh,
so
yeah.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Oh no, she's like,
That is so awesome.
she's like, I have 5, and they're $5 each, but you can get 5 for 20, or something
Wow.
like that. You can get,
yeah, it's 4 or 5 for 20, and she just, everybody that goes by, and Jace was like, I'm never worried. Like, the girl can sell. We're not worried about her.
Oh yeah.
That's
but
huge.
it's so fun to see. So yeah, they have a little bath bomb business, and they did that for a while. So
Oh yeah, you want to teach your kids. the best thing you can do for your kids, for real, it's for sure learn to sell.
Right.
Or you're a teenager, learn to sell. Sales is what makes the world go round. And that doesn't mean sleazy salesmen, lie about it, steal cheap, whatever. This is, you need to learn people. Learn
Just
people.
little things.
Just that you can express or share about something in a way that shows its benefits, right? Don't sell something to somebody that they don't want. No, but you learn to sell, and you will always be fine.
I mean,
there should be classes for that. That's what it should be. Drop out of college right now and go learn to sell.
Oh my gosh, don't
Go-
listen to
You're
him.
right.
Listen to drop out of
listen to
college.
him. I agree with you.
And go knock doors.
If you're not doctor, lawyer,
That's
Oh,
right.
it's true.
Drop
I mean, even
out.
with the kids, like, was it Susan? She's like, even just making them order their own food, like, get them used to telling people,
Yeah,
talking
Susan
to people, and
Peterson
telling
said
them
that.
what they want.
Instead of this, I can't order
Right.
my McDonald's just to click on my.
Yeah,
That's another thing. Our
exactly.
kids don't have social media. We don't social
Thank
media. We don't
goodness.
do video games. We don't do any of that.
Okay, that's interesting because like your business is built around social
Yep.
media.
It is.
That's right.
That's really interesting.
And
You know
we I've
kids that
talked
have
about
social
this a
media.
little bit,
do
and that
they fight that?
they don't.
Not yet.
Yeah.
not yet.
But
So
you know what? I
we'll
think
see.
when you're open with communication as to why,
Right.
and we probably share way too much with our kids, that they don't
What do you
crave
mean?
that. Well, I don't know. There's really no.
This is a safe place.
This
Just
is
let
a
it
safe
fly.
place.
Let it fly.
There's not a lot of boundaries. We talk to our kids about a lot, where I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know that I would tell my kids that. But I feel like when you communicate with your kids about these things and they know, I just feel like you're just arming them, right?
For
And
sure.
My wife and I have this discussion all the time because I'm pretty open book, and we'll watch like a PG-13 movie. You know, my kids are 9, and I've got 4 kids, but the 2 I'll watch the PG-13 with, they're 9 and 11. You know, bad word will drop, and it's like, well, we just talk about it. Like, listen, they said it in the movie, but it doesn't mean that you should say it.
Yeah.
She's like, that makes no sense. I'm like, I think it kind of does because I'm treating them, you know, like adults almost in a sense. Like, hey, I know you can handle this, and just because
Yeah.
you see it doesn't mean you're going to say it.
And they respect you for
And
that.
they
I
do.
think.
They appreciate you being
Yeah.
open and communicating with them, and then treating them almost as if they're equals in a sense. It just makes them feel important and valued.
Oh,
and,
for
and
sure.
they listen. And so, sheltering your kids isn't going to. I think sheltering almost
It's the
makes it worse
opposite.
as they
Yeah.
get older.
I like want to
Agreed.
be the one to expose my kids to everything, so
Yeah,
I can
so you
always
can
kind of
talk
control
about
the
it.
environment a little
Yes.
bit more.
For sure.
Yeah,
you
so we
know?
watched the Chappelle show last. I'm just kidding.
And like Jay says,
family. Oh, well, maybe not. Okay.
like Jay says, they're gonna hear it and see it
Yes, they are.
other places.
100%.
So you might as well just talk to
You're
them
hearing
about
a
it.
lot
Oh,
more
Tell
cussing at
them.
school.
Guys, and I don't know, cover your kids' ears. Just cover them up. Ready? 3, 2. I mean, we had the sex talk with our oldest, and then we had the Santa Claus talk.
Right.
That is true.
We
and
had
that's
the
a
sex talk
sad world,
before that.
right? That's a sad world.
We had it
You
before.
gotta
But
combine
it's
'em.
reality.
It
It's
is.
their
Oh, we
reality
could
now.
combine 'em.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the thing with social. And it's not that I don't trust my kids to be on social, but, and this is something that I've read a lot about, but their brains aren't fully developed. You are just
100%.
tossing them in to, and you know, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He
doesn't deserve a plug. Let's just go, baby. Go.
he does. He did actually a podcast, and he's like, "Would you drop your young kid off downtown New York City late at night, like where they're exposed to anything and everything, you know?" And that's really what social is. And that's the thing. There is so much good, but there's bad too. And when your brains aren't developed, and heck, I see this in grown women where they aren't willing to do the hard thing, even if they know this triggers them. Like, you know what? Looking at these social pages, they trigger me. I feel like crap about myself. I feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me feel depressed. It makes me hate who I am.
Block.
And I'm like, that's when you need to realize those aren't the people I should be following. You
Right.
know, I don't feel good about, but they don't do that, right? They
They don't.
continue to feed into it. And that's just like kids. I feel like you have to train them and teach them to really follow the direction. Like, are those friends, do they make you feel good? Do you feel good when you do this with them? Do you feel good when you're reading this or when you're looking at these? And I just feel like that's a whole nother.
Totally.
We have so many podcasts we have to come
For
into.
sure.
That's
Justin,
a
you're
whole
coming back
nother-
like 3 more times.
Well, and I think middle school is like the wild, wild west. That's when kids are the just nastiest. So why give them a keyboard too?
Oh, there's
you know?
no doubt about it.
It's like once my kids are in high school, they can have social media. I mean, I'm going to try to hold the phone off until 13, 14 if I can. And
Yeah.
even then it'll be a flip phone.
Right. And that's what we
so-
started with.
Right.
Well, you're playing chess with your kids. Like, don't let them trigger you. Don't let them get you all in a like. You're playing chess with a 13-year-old person. Give
Right.
them just enough that they're like, yeah, you know what, you do respect me and you do trust me and you show me that, and
Right.
I'll set the boundaries and you're in charge. If you mess this up, then we're going to talk about it again. But here's what you're going to run into. Here's what is happening. I mean, hiding from any of that. Trust me, your kids, they know more than you do about what's going on.
100%.
If they go to junior high, they will teach you things that you're like, what in the world is going on?
That's why I like having college age employees, because I hear stuff once a week. I'm just like, wait, what did you just
But
say?
by
Oh, yeah, you learn all the things.
Yes, I'm like, you guys are such idiots.
But like being open and talking about
Or you're
it.
like, baby, I just heard about this. I'm coming home. We got something to try.
But what it does is it also makes your house the house where kids want to come to.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because they know it's a safe place. They know they can talk about it, which is my end goal at the end of the day when my kids get old enough is I want to be the house where everyone feels comfortable
Everyone's
hanging
at.
out.
Yep.
and
you
you
know?
want to be the person your kids go to when they have a
Yes,
question, no
100%.
matter how awkward it may be. It's like, I feel safe enough with my parents to ask those questions.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
we've already
the other
started to
thing.
experience that. Like, for example, one of Kira's friends was like, she was talking to me in the car and her friend was in the car. And later her friend was like, you tell your mom everything. I can't believe you told And Kira came to me and said, Mom, is that weird that I talk to you about all this stuff? Because they don't. And I'm like, no, I love that you talk to me. But also as a parent, that is where it's hard with the boundaries, where it's like, when they do talk to you about stuff, do you get mad and are they in trouble when they share things they shouldn't have done versus not, because you want them to continue to tell you things,
Right.
and that's the thing where I'm still trying to figure out.
I think
like,
there's a balance there. I
Totally,
think there's a
yeah.
balance. Like,
Well, this is chess again with your own
Right.
kid. Yeah, and finding that balance with them. You got to learn your kids.
Like so much of it is how you react when it first is said.
Oh, totally.
Like it's like
you're right. It's like, hey, I love that you shared it with me, but that's not okay.
go to your room for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. You're
Yeah.
screwed.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're
Never
living-
told me that stuff again. Never.
Right.
But along with that, like regardless of the crap on social and things like that, it is just social skills.
Mm-hmm.
From not having the phone. I mean, that's one of the number one problems with young people is they can't communicate. They don't know how. They don't know how to have
100%.
conversations. And also, go be a kid. Go outside.
fun. That's
Play.
right.
Go jump on the trampoline.
You have the
You don't
rest
need
of
to
your
be
life
sitting
to worry
here
about
on your phone playing
Yep.
games
snap.
and
Going
yeah.
to work.
And do TikToks. I signed up for that
I don't even know
TikTok
what
the
that
other
is.
day, and I already had to erase it. 'Cause
Oh my
it's
gosh, I just followed you.
One of my daughter's friends, who's our neighbor, I just saw she started following. I didn't post. I haven't posted.
Oh yeah,
on
that's
there.
a problem. Let's just move along.
There were six. No, she's like 9, but there
Oh, no,
were
then that's an
literally
extreme problem.
600 lip syncing videos, and I catch my daughter in like 30 of them, and I'm like, so you're just hanging out with your friends doing TikTok videos? I'm like, no more. She's like, you saw that? I'm like, I see everything. I see everything. And so, but it's crazy because the amount, I think her account had been open for 2 weeks. And when I say 600, I don't know that I'm exaggerating. I
Yeah,
mean,
the amount of time spent.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's a mind blow.
And so I'm like, this is exactly why you don't have a phone with social media on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little nuts.
Speed round questions.
Seriously.
You got them?
Last one.
Oh.
What are you excited about with the business? Like what's coming that makes you excited? What are you working on?
Oh, you want all my secrets. That's
Yeah,
what
we
you want.
always
You
get
want all
'em.
my secrets.
We always get them.
I was waiting for the big and tall. I was waiting for Sexy Modest by Jason, the men version.
It's just a straight Speedo line. And I'm just like, watch this with a skirt. You'll love it. You're gonna love everything.
You
I'm
guys
coming
know
up
we have a lot of exciting things coming right now. There's a lot of cool things, and we barely touched on Costco at all. But if you go to Costco.com, we're on the Costco.com's main page right now.
Are you really?
Oh,
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, and that's all this guy. He has been working so hard on all of that on Costco.
You know what's awesome about Bridge, though, as I'm sitting here listening to her, she plays by the 24-hour bragging rule, right? Like, it's just, this is what was awesome, this is what we're doing, and then tomorrow, we start over. She's not like, oh, my glory days. Oh, man, back when I played for the Y when they could win. I used to. No, like, oh, I won homecoming queen. Get all that out of there. You're done. What'd you do last week? What'd you do yesterday? You did something awesome and you want to share about it? Great. You got 24 hours and we'll cheer you on and good, but right back to the grind. Like she is right back in it. And it's built in, like you were noticing even earlier today. It's built into who she is. Like she wants to give our kids the childhood that it is a magical childhood, but it's mixed with all the things that it should be so that someday they don't live in our basement.
That's what I was going to say earlier. The more you say yes, the longer they'll live in your basement.
Yeah. And you know what? You're out. Like she's like, oh, maybe I'll stay. No, 8, you're gone. You get to get out, because I want to know that you're going to start to learn all those things. Because this is our job right this second. We have this time right now to teach you everything. Then you get to choose.
Right.
And I just want you to be happy. And here's what will not make you happy. And here's what will make you happy. But guess what? I trust you, because soon I can't see you right now for 8 hours a day. You can be doing whatever you want to.
Well, it's crazy. They say by the time your kids are 18, you've spent 96% of your time with them. So it's like,
see, I feel great about that for 2 of my kids. The other 2, I'd like a little more. Like those, if I've spent that much with them. But no, it's true. I mean,
well,
when you ask us what we're excited about, I think personally we've moved into a place where we've spent concentrated effort. We have concentrated effort on just us right now, on just us. And
like the date night thing.
Yeah. Just the date night and we're spouses that work together almost at the hip all the time. Like we are in the same room together. We work together all day long. We close the computers, or we close where we're at, and we close the meeting. We're together all the time. And I think it's been one of our favorite things about working together, because we love each other. We have people tell us sometimes that they're like, I would murder.
Oh.
I would just murder my spouse.
For me.
I would just
my
murder
wife would
them.
murder me.
But we, I think, learning that part of who we are, right? What her personality is, what mine is, being able to talk to each other and keep that communication open, and then spending the time on the relationship. That's going to be key for it to go the distance without ending up on True Crime Daily.
And I think whether you run a business together or you don't, it's
the same rules apply.
Yeah, blocking out the time for the things that are important, and I just had this conversation with a friend the other day, because if you let life run you, it will.
Right.
Especially with kids and activities and just everything they have going on. And like we talked about, like at what cost, right? So you've got to block it out. You've got to put the time into the relationships and the things that really, truly matter. Like, yes, I love that my kids are involved. I think sports teaches kids so many things, right? So valuable. But at the same time, not over the cost of no family time,
right,
getting behind in their schoolwork and the things that, and their time, just like things that at the end of the day really are the most important things. And
100%.
so...
Well, and as we work with our kids and even on our family, I think this goes back to a little bit of the parenting thing. I had this experience even when I was younger, but I watched somebody who the kids were mouthing off Disney Channel style to the parents, right?
Disney Channel style.
They were just mouthing
Disney
off to
Channel
them.
is the worst.
And I watched.
Well, yes, it is.
And I watched the dad say something very profound that I'm trying to make sure my kids see as well. One of the dads said right to the kid, "Don't talk to my wife like that." And it immediately, it wasn't in my family, but it was just something that struck me as, this is exactly right. Kids, they got to know where they stand. They got to see me make sure I protect the missus. They're gonna watch me kiss her. They're gonna watch it. I don't care how gross they think it is. I'll take it to the next level. I'm not afraid. But I'm just telling you. The kids need to see the relationship go through the pieces that prepare them for real life, not just, okay, now you're dating, now you're gonna get married, everything's gonna just be fine and dandy. Like, no, not everybody gets a trophy.
Right.
The biggest secret to everything we do is it's not easy. Nothing's gonna go according to plan. You can count on that. And go to work. You are gonna go to work, and you're gonna go to work every day, and it's gonna be hard. And everything you've done, just like you were saying at the beginning, everything you've done in your life that you've accomplished or that you're proud of, was it easy? Of course not. That's why you're proud of it.
Right. A better way to end than that right there.
There we go. Drop the mic, turn it off. We're good to go.
I mean, I think we got to start with happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
an amazing
you.
accomplishment. I hope that she stays with you for another year.
I'm going to find out in just a few short
I
hours.
was
So you know
gonna
what?
say.
And we're going to announce it on Instagram. So at Mr. Mata Shopping.
We'll be there
at Mata
watching.
Shopping. You'll want to follow for this. This is going to be good. If you're not following, actually.
After yesterday, I really got to think about. I need till tonight to answer.
Oh man, I wish she was kidding. I wish she was kidding. I just gotta do this podcast. And I'm gonna kill you. Okay.
No, but thank you guys for coming
Thanks,
on.
guys.
This is going to be a really fun one to listen back to. I think we covered a lot of really cool things, and that's what we want. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. I mean, it's not just about
so
the
fun.
biz and
Was
the
it the
entrepreneurship.
longest podcast ever?
No, I mean it's,
Yeah.
it's up
Yep.
there.
Oh,
but
oh, he
that's
said
okay.
yes. Oh, and he's labeling it windbags right now. Look at this.
Well-
Sexy Modest windbags. Look at this.
But I mean, it's like having two guests, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you expect it to be a little bit longer, and you want it to be because you want to give. I mean, you guys are both equal parts of sexy modest shopping. It's you both play a big role in it, and you're both parents together, and you're husband and wife. So there's two sides to this whole entire story. So it's got to be a little bit longer.
Well, let us thank you and your crew that you've got here for sure. And if you're listening to this, these guys are providing some great value. Like this was completely different than I thought it was going to be in a way better way. So if you get value from these guys, which I know you are and I know you will, tell somebody. Next time that conversation comes up, tell somebody that, you know what, I've been following these guys and there's a lot of rambling. They bring on some guests that are just ha ha ha. But I get the nuggets. But I get nuggets that help make your life better. If that's true, don't send these guys money. That he'll just blow it. It's not good.
That's true.
But tell a friend. Tell somebody
100%.
so that we can continue to build a community. Because what you guys are doing here, it's worth people's attention. And I appreciate you guys having us on.
Well, thank you.
very
That was
much.
very nice of you. Appreciate that.
All right.
And tune in
Thanks
next
for
time.
coming on. Yeah. Until next time.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
again.
Thanks.